Scene 1, take 1, action.
Okay, close your eyes. No, I'm serious. Close your eyes. I want you to think back on the most physically difficult thing you've ever endured. Maybe you broke a bone or fasted for a day or got a truly terrible sunburn. Whatever, just think of something that you've made it through. Picture it. Think about how you dealt with it. Are you proud that you made it through? Now I want to introduce you to this scene. Look around. What do you think, Link?
Whoa, dust everywhere.
And this scene, this is the reality for the main character in the book I want to tell you about. Dust everywhere, no escaping it, and that wasn't even the worst thing she endured. The book I want to tell you about is called Out of the Dust by Karen Hesse. The main character of this book, Billy Joe, lived in a time called the Dust Bowl. Go ahead and click on the link of the article over here and learn a little bit more about the Dust Bowl. The Dust Bowl was rough. Cars covered in dust, barns covered in dust, animals dying of thirst, dying of hunger, dying of lung disease like the people around them. People leaving homes with their faces covered, trying desperately to protect their lungs from the dust. You couldn't eat a meal without dust peppering your food. Storms that were so powerful you could get lost in them. Billy Joe describes one such storm this way in the book. Brown earth rained down from sky, and I could not catch my breath, the way the dust pressed on my chest and wouldn't stop. The dirt blew down so thick it scratched my eyes and stung my tender skin. It plugged my nose and filled inside my mouth. No matter how I pressed my lips together, the dust made muddy tracks across my tongue. But I kept on spitting out mud, covering my mouth, clamping my nose, the dust stinging the raw and open stripes of scarring on my hands. And after some 3 hours, I finally made it home. Now, I'm guessing most of you don't sit around reading poetry in your spare time, but you probably noticed the way Billy Joe's words flowed just there. She used a melody that highlighted her pain in somehow a beautiful way because this book is actually written in poetry. Here's what a page of this book looks like. And as terrible as the Dust Bowl was, it wasn't the worst physical thing that our main character endured. How many of you have had a burn before? Not a sunburn, but a burn. Go ahead and answer the question that just popped up. For those of you who said yes, you know how badly they hurt. Well, Billy Joe got a burn like that. A burn like probably none of you have ever experienced before. And it changes everything. She says, I got burned bad. Daddy put a pail of kerosene next to the stove, and Ma, fixing breakfast, thinking the pail was filled with water, lifted it to make Daddy's coffee, poured it. But instead of making coffee, Ma made a rope of fire. It rose up from the stove to the pail, and the kerosene burst into flames. Ma ran across the kitchen, out the porch door, screaming for Daddy. I tore after her. Then, thinking of the burning pail left behind in the bone-dry kitchen, I flew back and grabbed it, throwing it out the door. I didn't know. I didn't know Ma was coming back. And all of the horror in Billy Joe's life, the burn, the Dust Bowl, she does have a solace. The piano, music. When I point my fingers at the keys, the music springs straight out of me. Right hand playing notes sharp as tongues, telling stories while the smooth, buttery rhythms back me up on the left. Folks sway in the palace aisles, grinning, stomping, and out of breath. And the rest, eyes shining, fingers snapping, feet tapping. It's the best I've ever felt. Playing hot piano, sizzling with Mad Dog, swinging with the Black Mesa Boys, or on my own, crazy, pestering the keys. That is heaven. How supremely heaven playing piano can be. So, to sum up, here's 5 things I think you're going to love about this book. Number 1, it reads like you're listening to your favorite song on the radio. Number 2, Because this book is in poetry, you're going to flip through these pages so quickly, you're going to feel like a reading genius. Number 3, reading about Billie Jo facing her struggles from her burnt hands to the terrible dust really inspires you to face your own problems head on. Number 4, Billie Jo comes through some of the same problems you do, fights with her parents and a crush on a boy at school, and she tells the reader things you might be too afraid to ever admit to anyone, even though you feel that way too. Number 5, because this is historical fiction, you get to have fun while becoming smarter. You're learning about real events, but you get to do it in the shoes of the great character Billie Jo. So, let me know if this is a book you're interested in reading further about by taking my poll. And I want you to remember your own painful experiences and how proud you are to have survived them. And think about taking this adventure with Billie Jo and find out just how strong you and she really are. Read Out of the Dust by Karen Hesse.